Well, hello, Bob Dendry here, and welcome back to Transport Fever 2, The Long Game. So last episode we worked on this new line going up towards Roseville from our existing terminus at Dayton, and I think we did pretty well getting a nice functional passenger line to start with, and also getting the beginnings of some freight. But from here we probably need to do a bit more work, getting some more freight running on this line to take advantage of the capacity we've set up, and also start to get that freight part of things integrated to our sort of freight network that we've already set up over the rest of the map. So let's jump in and get started. Alrighty, so first things first, when I'm looking at what our options are to continue to, I guess, increase the utilization of this line that we're working on now, I think a good opportunity here would be to utilize a bit of a food chain that we have the beginnings of. So we've got 2 farms here that we can ship some grain from. We also have a livestock farm over here, and then over in this sort of mini island as part of the delta, we have a meat processing plant. And then across the way, we've got a food processing plant. So we've got everything we need fairly close together. It's not going to require too much work, breaking off from our main lines, but it will allow us to boost our food production even more. And of course, we can feed that through to the rest of the network as well. So let's start building, and yeah, this is going to be a fairly easy one, I think. Hopefully. We've got obviously our farm here and a farm here. I think we might utilize this one to start with. I think it's just going to work a little bit better and be easier to integrate into the network. So let's jump in and place down a freight station. So we can hopefully squeeze that one in. Yeah, it's a tight squeeze for sure, but it'll get in there and it will cover our farm. And from there, we just need to pretty much feed this through and connect it up to the rest of the network. That is a very nice and easy one. You might lay this signal down here for now. I don't know if you're going past, you're definitely going to be hitting that. We might move it a little bit further back. That should be okay. We're only going to be running one train. I don't know if it'll interfere with things if we've got sort of a stack of one-way or two-way signals, I should say. But we can pass that bridge, or go over that bridge, cross that bridge when we get there. Alright, so that's a nice, fairly easy setup. From here we need to get over to our livestock farm, which is a little bit further off the beaten path. Not too far, but it probably will need like a passing loop or something like that before we get back to the main line from here. Alrighty. And we should be able to pretty much just follow a reasonably straight, obviously we're curving here. And we need to curve in both directions, in fact, so we do need to keep that in mind. That is a lot of curve there. That's a very large triangle. We've not typically done them this large before. But it's probably alright. We might, in fact, double track this whole way. It's not heaps necessary, but given that we are going to be running sort of trains in both directions, we should probably do it. We might pull out that double slip as well. Beautiful. That'll allow us to set up some one-way signals as well, to, I guess, sort of moderate the traffic, I guess, a little bit, you could say. And we've got 2 more stops now on our way. We've got this meat processing plant, which doesn't have any road access, so I guess the workers will be riding in on the boxcars potentially. And once again, we need a bit of a triangle here. I think we'll make this single track. I don't think there's really a need to double track it. It's quite a short segment. I'm going to sort of double track it, but it's more going to be two one-ways rather than a true sort of double track setup. I feel like these crossovers are infinitely harder to build with the new version than they were before. I feel like I found them a lot easier before. I don't know. It could just be me. And final place is our food processing plant over here, which hopefully should be fairly easy once again. Pull it back a little bit. And I'll sort of do the same thing here as well. I feel like those lines are absolutely on top of each other. Might relay them. All right, so we've got everything we need now to run this entire sort of food chain that we've got available to us. So we're going to start with some grain trains, obviously, and we'll sort of go through creating trains for each of the steps from there. All right, and 10-wheelers appear to be the order of the day right now, so we're going to continue with that, I think. And see, actually, we might need to make this a 460. I think it might actually drop down to poor. No? Okay, perfect. We can still use these 10-wheelers. Fantastic. So we'll get one of those purchased. Set up a new line. All right, next up, we'll get our livestock transport. Take that up to 240. Next, we need to transport our meat. Now, where to from here? It's a good question, I think. So, in terms of our sort of freight network we've set up here, it doesn't quite work in the same way, I don't think, on our line to Roseville, because we don't have a direct connection to the rest of the network. We could obviously put a little triangle in here. But probably makes sense for Dayton to sort of be the home base of our logistics on this line. And rather than having the sort of the big long train and then the smaller feeder services, we may as well sort of combine them into one, I think. So for Richmond, we will run cars or trucks, carriages, whatever you want to call them, into Richmond. So that will cover the food, and we'll be able to get bricks in as well from, wherever they're coming from. All right, that one's running now. We've already got the Lafayette loop set up. So in terms of Lakewood, we'll probably need to set up a similar thing. Obviously, given that our industry is on the opposite side to where our train station is, but that is, or should be okay. Does need us to push, unless we just do it as a separate connection. Yeah, we'll probably just do that, to be honest. And we'll need to do the same thing over here. Too much slope. Is there? Oh, they're not on the same level, actually. Oh, they should be. Apparently not. There we go. That is very strange. I don't know if that's how it would work in real life, but oh well. Oh well indeed. And finally, Roseville. How are we going to do Roseville? Probably the same, if I'm honest. I don't really think there's any need for us to build a different sort of terminal for our freight buildings. There's not many of them, actually, it doesn't look like at this point. Alrighty, so we've got everything set up now. So we've got trucks running to all our cities to take goods in, and we've also got freight stations set up everywhere. So we should be good now to get our trains running up and down this line carrying some freight. Alrighty, so once again, we'll go with 10-wheeler, and we're going to have a mix of sort of the box cars, the side stakes, and tank cars. All right, we'll run one to start with, but we'll most likely expand it as we go on. And I realize I'm going to need to put a through track here as well. I am aware of that. We'll fix it shortly. Alrighty, so that one is now flowing. And yeah, Lafayette here we need to punch a line through. Could punch 2 through even. Now what am I missing? I bet I didn't connect anything up over here, did I? No, I just built it and was just like, this is fine. Well, it wasn't fine. I actually do need to finish it, which we'll do now. And that should fix everything. Perfect. All right, so that's our first sort of big ticket item here that we've finished off. And I am hoping that will lead to some more goods moving around our freight network. I'm hopeful. While we're working on this part of the network, we may as well also get some public transport networks set up on each of these cities as well, because we're not attracting a massive amount of passengers right now. So I think we can do better. Alrighty, that's Roseville done, so that should be good. Roseville actually has a decent number of passengers already, so obviously there's alright coverage in this station. But yeah, some of the other stations here are not in the best place. Lafayette, I'm looking at you specifically. But Lafayette is actually quite sprawling, so we might even put in 2 routes. One's actually that. It's actually not the best place for you, to be honest. We might get a different road depot set up. Do that, and we will instead build that road through. Cool. So we've got 2 set up there, and that hopefully should allow our citizens here to go pretty much any way they want to go and should fuel growth of the city. Lakewood's okay, but it's so far away from the residential. It covers most of it, but yeah, could be better. And finally, Richmond. Richmond, I think we'll go with 1 line for the moment. We don't need 2. Alrighty, so we are all set up to start getting some people moving now. So they are. Now that I look at it, this wasn't the best setup at all, was it? We can remedy that for the moment by putting a signal in over here. one-way signal. And we can potentially push this one a bit further as well. But yes, that's not an ideal setup. We'll need to fix that one. All right, so we've spent a bit of time working on this new pretty line that we've been running. But now it's time to get back to our roots. I want to do a little bit of optimization back here, sort of where we started. Now, I really boosted the number of carriages we had running this stone, which is starting to pay off. We've got a lot sitting there now, and now we've got way more than our single stone train can handle. It can carry 210, and we've got almost 400 sitting there. And the 210 it can carry is really still not a drop in the water in terms of balancing out the input we're having at our construction materials plant. So I might potentially add 2 more of those trains on. So if we have a look, what do we got? Are you a 10-wheeler? You are. So I might just, make 2 copies of that. And that should hopefully allow us to really start to feed that stone through. And I'm just going to name it as well before I forget. Other thing I want to look at is our goods factory. As you can see, we've got a bit of an imbalance with our steel and plastics. Now, plastics are only coming from over here. Oh, we've got a tiny little train running that. In fact, we probably don't have enough grain running either. So how much? Okay, so we've got 2 trains running there. So we can potentially look to get an additional one on as well. I might make up my own train though, because these are some of our old 440s running. So we'll get a new train running there. Going 10-wheelers as we have been. So we'll get that purchased. We'll get it on our line. But I do want to increase the size of this as well, because it's a tiny little train, isn't it? We might, in fact, replace this, get a new longer train on there as well. We'll take it up to 240 meters, I think. And we'll get the old one retired. Well, I had a crash. I've not had a crash playing this game in ages, but luckily, the Transport Fever 2 actually has a feature built in that makes a save when you crash, which is actually fantastic. So I've been able to load that up, have a look around, make sure everything was still working fine, which it is, so we can get back to working on what we've been working on this episode. So we'd remember early on in this series, I made the decision to cut down some of our iron ore trains to be quite short, because we didn't really have any locomotives available that were actually able to support the sort of length of trains we were wanting to run. Now we do have those now, so we've got the 10-wheelers and we've got 460s as well. So I'm going to switch over the trains on this iron ore line to hopefully run, 320-meter odd long trains, which I think should be fairly easy for us to do. I would say we're going to be getting rid of both of these existing vehicles. We are in fact running a 10-wheeler on here already on train 14, so we can keep that one in service, and we'll sell off this one because it is actually quite old, and we will upgrade the 10-wheeler to this new 320 meter long standard we're going for. I don't know why I can't explain that properly, but here we are. We're going to make that modification, and we're also going to clone it twice, because obviously there is quite a bit of goods just sitting here. I might also swing the train around as well, because it was not full. We just got the new carriages on as it was leaving. So that should be a fairly easy fix there to increase our throughput to our steel mill, which would hopefully drive the associated freight chains a little bit better. Over here on our sort of initial starting oil line, we can also get these trains upgraded to 320 meter long with potentially some new upgraded locomotives on there as well. So what are we running right now? What are these? These are 460s, so we're actually fine to keep using those. but we will upgrade them in length up to 320 because we have now upgraded the station to support that. Or if actually only upgraded one end of it, so we will need to continue or do a bit more work to get our crude oil station upgraded. Let's make those train upgrades now, and now I'm just going to whack on pause, and we will get the crude oil station up to 320 meters long. Might actually slightly realign this because it was a little bit kinked there. So this should fix it. Perfect. And there we go. Upgraded now so we can take advantage of some newer 320 meter long trains. We're certainly starting to get a bit of traffic backing up on this line between our iron ore mine and our chemical plant. So I might upgrade this to a dual track as well. Just pop a quick pause on there because this entire sort of junction here will need to slightly redo. All right, there we go. So we've got another double track section that should significantly improve. Hopefully. You're not going there though. You need to go back to your station. Yeah, so that should look fairly good, hopefully. Righty, and it is time for our weekly ride along. We're at Dayton South right now, as you can see, and look at all of that freight ready to ship out. So we're going to hop on our freight train that will be running to Roseville. We'll be on board as we stop off at Richmond, followed by Lakewood. So I hope you enjoy this one. And here we are arriving in Lakewood, so I hope you've enjoyed this ride on. Let me know if you are enjoying them, because yeah, I'm enjoying these sort of little ones that we're just sticking on the end rather than the big 20-30 meter long ones we were doing at the end of our series previously. So yeah, just let me know. Well, we've just about run out of time in this episode, so I hope you have enjoyed the episode. If you have, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you get a ding to your device the next time I post a video. You can find links to all my social media in the description, so please jump on there, like, follow, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. Big shout out to my Founders Club patron, Caleb. Thank you so much for helping make this video happen. But until next time, I'm Bob Dendry. This is Transport Fever 2, The Long Game. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.